Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this will be a video for the hometown crowd or anyone who wants to wallow in our misery or anyone who may be worried that your state may try to imitate Washington, because this one's a doozy. Julie Barrett over at the Conservative Ladies of Washington has been bugging me for weeks now to do this video, and I'm going to finally get around to doing it, Julie. Okay, here we go. There's a bill kicking around in Washington that would allow for non-citizens to become police officers. Is that true? We're going to look into that. Could it actually be done? We're going to look into that also. And we're going to look into another huge mystery on this, which is, why did every single Washington State Senate Republican already vote in favor of this bill? So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about non-citizen police officers, Washington State's new way. Okay, Washington, here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Senate Bill 5068, a bill which has already passed out of the Senate with unanimous support, which means every single Senate Republican voted in favor of this. This is a bill which, if enacted into law, would allow immigrants, I didn't say illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, to become police officers as well as prosecuting attorneys. So is that rumor true? Yes, it is. Now, as you know, Pierce County Sheriff Keith Swank, as well as Klickitat County Sheriff and one of my favorite sheriffs in the whole state, Sheriff Bob Songer, have both said, hey, you go ahead and pass this law, but we're not going to be hiring those types of people in our department. Well, to both of those sheriffs, one, I completely appreciate where you're coming from. And number two, there may be some other prohibitions that obviously the state legislature did not think about these people becoming police officers. Okay, Washington, to understand what's really going on here first, you have to understand a little bit about immigration law. And this is how we're going to break it down in real simple terms today. There are two types of visas. Actually, there's dozens and dozens of types of visas, but they break down into two categories. One is non-immigrant visa. It's all of these here, okay? So your F visas, your H visas, all of these things, many of you may be familiar with that. These are all non-resident visas, which mean they have an expiration date, which means you are not showing an intent to move permanently to the United States. You are here temporarily for work reasons. Then there is permanent residency. Permanent residency comes in the form of a green card. Okay, now here's what Senate Bill 5068 does. It takes several statutes, these statutes to be exact, that deal with the hiring of police officers and other civil servants and prosecuting attorneys. And it takes these words, a lawful permanent resident or a deferred action for childhood arrivals recipient, which basically means you are either green carded or you're a DACA, which, as we know, has a very special category of immigrants to this country. But those words are going to be taken out of the statute, and then instead what's going to supplant that is these words, or legally authorized to work in the United States under federal law, which means currently the only individuals who could get jobs in law enforcement are the people who are on this side of the visa ledger. However, if this bill becomes law, all of these folks over on this side, well, now they're eligible to not only be police officers, but prosecuting attorneys as well. Which means, theoretically, you could have a Washington resident who is then arrested by a non-citizen police officer for violating one of Washington's otherwise unconstitutional gun laws, and then have them prosecuted by another person who is not a citizen. Could that all be possible under this legislation? Yes, it could. Okay, but now we got to get to the two big mysteries here. Mystery number one, did anyone who drafted this bill bother to read either state law as it relates to non-resident aliens with firearms, or the federal law? Because I got bad news for you on both counts, okay? And then the other thing that we have to ask ourselves is, why on God's green earth did every single Republican senator vote in favor of this bill? Because you can take a look at the roll call. We're going to link it up down below in the description box, and you can see that there was literally no votes against this bill. So every single Democrat and every single Republican in the Senate voted in favor of this. Now, although law enforcement agencies may be able to hire these individuals once this bill is enacted into law, I see no way, actually, that any of them are going to serve as police officers, or if they do serve as police officers, they're not going to be armed with a firearm. No, because you see, there are two gigantic hurdles, one of which lies right in Washington state law. It's found in RCW 9.41171, 173, and 175. 941-171 specifically reads, it is a Class C felony for any person who is not a citizen of the United States to carry or possess any firearm unless the person... And here we go. Here are the exceptions. But the first one is that they're a lawful permanent resident. But we already said that all of these people now are eligible to be police officers, and they are not lawful permanent residents. They are lawfully allowed to be in the United States to work. That is true. But they are not lawful permanent residents. The other exceptions include 2, has obtained a valid alien firearm license pursuant to 941-173. Oh, and we're going to go over that, but ultimately you're going to learn that even if you qualify for a non-resident alien firearms license, the only reason that you can possess a firearm under that license is either for hunting or sporting purposes. There is no other reason by which you can carry a firearm, including self-defense or including carrying out the duties of your job. 3 is a deferred action for childhood arrival employed as a peace officer or corrections officer. So if you are, in fact, a DACA kid, what we call DACA kids, all right, very special category of immigrants to this country, and you're employed as a law enforcement officer, yes, you would be able to be employed because in all likelihood, you would be given a non-resident alien firearms license by the state of Washington. But beyond that, and here's the deal, all of these people who are here on these visas, yeah, none of them are DACA kids, because the DACA kids, they don't need those visas to be here, okay? These people have said, I'm coming to the United States for a professional or educational reason, and now they want to suddenly change that profession or education and become police officers. That's not how the immigration system works. But then, Washington, even if there wasn't all of those hurdles in state law, guess what? There's a big chunk of federal law sitting right over the top of it, 18 United States Code Section 922, which specifically states, it shall be unlawful for any person to possess a firearm who, being an alien, A, is illegally or unlawfully in the United States, or B, except as provided in subsection Y2, has been admitted to the United States under a non-immigrant visa. So if you're here in the country legally, you don't have a visa at all, and there's a litany of recent case law that says you have no Second Amendment rights whatsoever. But if you're here under a non-immigrant visa, which all again of these people here are, federal law says you can't possess a firearm. Now, there is an exception in Y2, but guess what? Those exceptions are incredibly limited because they are limited to this. These subsections do not apply to any alien who has been lawfully admitted to the United States under a non-immigrant visa if that alien is A, admitted to the United States for lawful hunting or sporting purposes, or is in possession of a hunting license or permit lawfully issued in the United States. And all the rest of the exceptions deal with you being a representative of a foreign government or a dignitary from a foreign government, none of which would apply. So at the end of the day, Washington, Senate Bill 5068, which right now appears to have zero opposition, it has a high probability of becoming law. And is it possible that non-citizens could be hired by law enforcement agencies? Yeah, that is completely possible. But is there any way that we can see where they could be hired as a law enforcement officer and then carry a firearm in the course of their duties? No, there really isn't. And for that reason, one of the big mysteries is, who drafted this? And then, of course, the second biggest mystery will be, why did every single Republican in the Washington State Senate vote for it? Okay, it is Senate Bill 5068. We're going to link it up down below so you can geek out on it for yourself. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, all of that information's down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.